Being relational doesn't mean being a doormat. And as the market has changed and stress levels have raised even more in around the home buying and selling process, we as agents have to set boundaries. Otherwise, caring for your clients could be your demise. Today, I'm going to talk about a few ideas that I've had and that I've coached my agents on regarding how to just make sure that they're taking care of themselves, setting the appropriate expectations, still providing A-level service, but not getting walked all over. If you're interested in chatting with me, if you've been feeling like you just don't have any more gas in the tank, please reach out. I would love to chat with you. I would love to help you. And if you're interested in my coaching and having access to me for absolutely free and partnering with myself as well as, Mike Sherrard, Louis Galt at the Wolfpack and getting all of their Social Agent Academy and predictable production coaching for free, please reach out, book a call in the link below. But let's get into it. So why do boundaries matter? And this is something that, a lot of people, post, and since we're in this Google business page era, people say, we're available 24/7, and there's this hustle culture, don't stop, won't stop, can't stop. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep grinding. And this is something that when we fail to set boundaries, we fail to show up in the right way for our clients. And the boundaries, typically, once you have it set and you have that expectation conversation, most of the time people respect you more in that instance than less. And let's be real, we're working with real life people on the other end, typically parents or non-parents or, professionals that have, jobs and all the things, and they can relate to some of these boundaries. And a lot of, people will compare this to, you don't call your doctor at 9:30 at night, to ask a question, right? Granted, there's emergency rooms, so you could probably go talk to a doctor, and that's a little bit different. But typically, not much can happen as a real estate agent after 9:30 at night, right? We can't do a closing, we can't get a lending question answered, we can't do a lot of those things. Now, also, I'm always like, hey, if you have a leaking pipe or you can't find your water shut off or whatever, reach out. If I'm awake, I'll respond to your text message. That's a different story in an emergency case. And when we're setting boundaries, as clients kind of get to understand it, then they have more of an expectation. The truth is, if we're setting boundaries, we have more organized communication to educate them on the process, on what's coming next. Oftentimes, when our boundaries do get pushed, it's because we, as agents, have so much going on that we forgot to have a conversation about what the inspection means, or, they just received the inspection report and they don't know what's next in the process, so they're going to call you and have a conversation. Most of the time, and myself included, would pick up the phone. If I see a client that's under contract calling me at 8:30 at night, you're going to pick up the phone. Well, if I've had the conversation like, hey, if I don't answer after 7 o'clock at night or whatever that time is for you, I will definitely get back to you, right when I start working again. But I have 3 daughters, I have a wife, I have all this stuff going on. So, I might be busy after hours times. If it's an emergency, please shoot me a text and I'll do everything I can to make sure I'm checking that, staying on top of it, right? Setting those boundaries as we go. But if they know what's coming, if the communication is coming and they know the boundaries, then they don't need to have a question, right? They don't need to freak out about the title commitment because you told them it was coming, you told them it was confusing, and to pay special attention to the requirements and the exceptions, right? There's things that we can do ahead of time prior to our clients receiving, communication from other professionals within the process. And as long as we tell them it's coming, yes, some people don't read emails. Yes, some people don't listen when you're talking to them. But if we're having these and they're as part of our routine and in our general conversation, then we will be able to uphold some of these boundaries if they have been disclosed. A couple things that I touch on when I'm talking to my clients. First and foremost, what's the communication rhythm? Hey, if your home is on the market and we receive an offer, I will certainly be in touch with you regardless of what time it is. Obviously, I respect your boundaries and expectations, so I'll let you know when the deadline is. I will send it over. I will review on my end. You can review on your end. And then before you sign anything, we can come together and have a conversation. So you're setting these expectations. Okay, say pre-contract. Listings are sitting on the market a little bit. Hey, Mr. Seller, I'm going to update you every single week on anything that's occurred. If you don't hear from me, it's probably not a great thing, but we haven't had any, showings or whatever, but we can talk about what the marketing has produced and what the marketing will produce moving forward and what kind of we're working on this week. You will also get a monthly market update where we go deep dive into the updated comps, into the updated, market conditions and all of that. And you could do that weekly too. It just depends. I'm just throwing ideas out here for you to kind of lay out the communication cadence so your clients know what to expect. And then if they go beyond that, like, here's the deal. We have people that push boundaries. We have people that are friends or family that we're working with. And sometimes they don't hear those things or they don't think that they apply to them. Well, it's your responsibility to uphold those expectations and communication promises that you've made, right? You don't have to respond, especially when, clients are upset or stressed out or saying, hey, what are you going to do now? Or you're not doing this well enough. I promise you, if you give it time to just simmer, things might be a little less intense or contentious when you respond. And as we've moved forward into this market, if you haven't had the chance to have a listing presentation where you're brutally honest, where you're upfront, because it used to be like we could go in there and we could get away with it and we could say, yeah, we can try that and let's go for 2 weeks and then we can lower the price. That's probably not the best route today to list a property in most markets. It may still be in yours, but if you're setting the boundaries, you're setting the tone, and and you're the market authority, they will appreciate that and respect that as you move forward, right? We don't like the conversations of like, well, you should have priced it what I told you. Sorry, like now you're screwed. Like that's not okay. It's our job to make sure that those expectations are clearly delineated and that they understand exactly what they're doing by overpricing their home and what that could look like as we move forward. And in my case, I'm not really taking overpriced listings because in my opinion, I would rather not have a listing sit there and expire and then have somebody else come in and tell them it's overpriced. And they're like, okay, we'll listen to you, even though Jeremy's put all this time and effort in. So we have to make sure we're setting those expectations. We have to have both buyers and sellers understand what the inspection looks like, understand what the appraisal looks like, and understand all of these things. But the main thing is understanding what the market reality is. And for me, in my market right now, it's, the buyers feel like they have a little bit of power. So they're, kind of negotiating hard on the front end. But when we go under contract and they are asking for next to everything on the buy side, on the inspection. So you may want to notify your clients and tell them it's coming so that there's not as much. One trick that I use right here is I show them what the buyer's, monthly payment might be based on, the contract price and what's going on. I say, well, they're paying $4,500 a month for this property. So that 50-year-old furnace might have to go. Right? That might be something that they're going to ask, even though it's working fine, even though it heats up the property just great. I'm just telling you, this is what they're paying. They can't afford for that to go out 2 months in to their ownership. So the clearer expectations you do, the less surprises and the more smoother a transaction, meaning that even if they don't get their price or, even if maybe they're mad at the buyer or whatever, you still have the opportunity to be their go-to referral real estate agent, as well as receive maybe a 5-star review. Those testimonials really matter. They really carry weight these days. And so that's super important. Next, as a word of advice, understand all of the things that are going on. One of my favorite questions to ask a buyer, obviously is where they're going, but a seller specifically, where are you going from here? Right? And this helps me understand what they're looking to do, right? Why they've done it. Typically, I know my clients, so I kind of know a little bit about that. But if I don't, figuring that out and understanding their why to why they're putting their house on the market allows me to pour into that. Is it an empathetic thing? I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to listen to exactly what they want, what they need, what they want, how they want their property marketed, what their expectations are of this home sale. And I don't control the market, but I control a lot of other things. And I control a lot of the other part of their experience through communication, expectation, how I market the property, which for me starts with what you love about living here. What's your favorite parts about living in this area? What's your favorite restaurants? What's your favorite place to, get your hair cut? Whatever it is, I want to make sure that I am capturing all of those favorite things that they had, whether it's in a video, whether it's in, the description of the property or anything like that. I want to make it so that they feel heard, right? I don't want them to call me and be like, hey, did you put that we have the best, Chinese restaurant just a, stone's throw away. We can walk there on Friday nights, have the best happy hour or whatever. Like, I want to make sure that whatever they're telling me is put out into the marketing as subtly as it can be, but it's there. And I promise you, this will make your life a lot easier, because the reason that they're telling you that is because they think that's a selling point. And yes, there has to be expectations around selling points, and we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But the more you listen, the more you can hear what exactly their expectations are, and you can knock it out of the park every time, and it will make it a much smoother transaction no matter what the market's doing. The next piece is there is going to be bumps in the road. There was bumps in the road when the market was a little bit easier, and there's going to be things that go wrong. And what I have, really leaned on, especially in this, crazy shift that we've seen from sellers having 30 offers, 30 showings, 13 offers, whatever, to, if we get 3 showings in a week, we're happy. What I've really leaned into is like, okay, yep, it's my fault. What do we need to do here? Right? If you take accountability for it because you are in charge of marketing the property and getting it in front of as many people as possible, if you just diffuse a high contentious situation by saying, yep, it's my fault, this is what we're doing, this is what we're acting, maybe I didn't explain that properly to you, or maybe, we missed that because we went this way, whatever it is, you don't have to make an excuse. But if you say it's my fault, you're going to diffuse the situation almost immediately. And as you work through it, it doesn't have to be your fault, but just by you saying it will lead to a more productive conversation in a less amount of time, so that you can get to the roots of it, to the crux of it. What do they want as far as what's going on? Yes, you're the expert. You are the real estate expert. But if you are not educating them and explaining and showing what the marketing looks like and having them feel a part of that story, then they're going to come to you with complaints if things don't go perfectly smooth and they don't get multiple offers in the first weekend. So it's my fault is one of the most powerful things you can do. Although it's hard, sometimes you say, but I'm telling you right now, a client who's paying you, $10, $20, $30,000 to sell their house doesn't want to have an argument. They just want to get to the results. And if they're, uneducated or uninformed or whatever, the truth is it is my fault. So I will take that on. So if you can just diffuse situations, it's my fault, and leave out the but, I think we'll be in good shape there as we go. The next piece is self-care. How you think about yourself and how you feel about yourself is exactly how your clients will pick up and treat you. So if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're, in toxic relationships, if you're, always stressed out and always this or always that, like, your clients are going to treat you that same way, because it's a basic human piece of psychology. They're going to treat you how you expect to be treated. And if you're treating yourself that way, that's a problem. So always have the opportunity, get outside, take a walk, drink water, eat healthy, do those things so that you are firing on all cylinders, so that you are taking care of yourself, so your clients also feel the need to take care of you or show you the respect that you deserve. Ultimately, boundaries in your personal life lead to respect in your professional life, which will also include boundaries on the professional side. And currently, I have all kinds of crazy stories about what's going on with some of my deals, but I'll tell you this one because I think we're close to being wrapped up. I had a client who received, opening weekend, we had somebody who was like, hey, we're ready to make an offer, but our house just, has been on the market for a week or two. Once we have an offer, we're in. They followed up for me for 2 or 3 weeks, even to the point where I was like, you guys can probably submit an offer and we'll look at it, right? As we kind of went down. That's when we were listed at 650, right? This was above, what I suggested, but it had a really amazing backyard and a lot of cool things going for it. And these buyers kind of fell in love. Well, those talks kind of faded away. I reached out and I said, hey, I saw that your property went under contract. Like, are we still on here? Turns out they went and saw one other one. She's like, they're deciding between yours and that one. I was like, great, set another showing. They never did. They ended up purchasing the other one. And we had to lower the price a little bit, got another person interested. They hadn't put their home on the market. And I was like, guys, like, this is how the market's kind of trending. Like, we probably want to have some skin in the game from them if we're going to sit off the market before their house is even on the market. So we countered pretty strongly. That one didn't end up coming to fruition. Then we lowered the price, got an offer pretty quickly. This person worked for the real estate professional who had done a lot of deals, and he told me she's amazing, she understands the process, she's going to be really easy to work with. Turns out she got cold feet when she saw the loan estimate, right? So that's another one. So we went off the market with her and back on shortly thereafter. Then we go under contract again, and this is when we get, the laundry list of inspection items. Not to mention the first time before that person, went out and, decided they couldn't afford the property based on the loan. My clients went and retired with the city because they were going to move. They are moving to Wisconsin, and they were going to close on that house. And they're like, okay, well, that's 2 weeks away. We're going to retire here. Well, between the time they both retired and quit their jobs, the house, was back on the market. So that was something, certainly my fault. I said, let's wait for inspection at some point in the process, but I didn't make it relevantly clear right then, to them. Absolutely my fault. Turns out it all worked out. So we're back on the market. We go back under contract. Then we get a laundry list of inspection items. And this house is decently taken care of. There's a lot of good things about the house, but we got a laundry list of inspection items. Great, they're going to do it all. They're just done with it, right? They've been through the ringer a little bit here. They need to close on the other house. And, one of the repairs was a sewer line. Well, the sewer company, hired in the, locate company. The locate company locates, public utilities, but not private utilities. But no one told anyone that this was happening. And oddly enough, the electrical meter is at the street in this municipality. So what happens? They sever the main power line, right? So here we are, no power, sewer, dug up, whole yard looks like a war zone, and we have to get an electrician out there, and the sewer quote doesn't cover the electrical because it's a private utility. And, we've worked that out with the sewer company, but as you can see, these are a ton of things that are going on. However, throughout the process, has my client gotten stressed? Has my client been short with me? Has my client even called me a name once? Yes. But what they continue to tell me is they appreciate me so much. They appreciate everything I'm doing because of my communication, because I understand it's a high level stress situation and I have thick skin. Like when they call me a name or when they are stressed out or they're short with me, I don't take it personally because I'm like, here it is. Like, I understand all you're going through. This is how I'm going to help you get through it. My goal is to get you to the other end happy. And I have no doubt that client will provide me a positive testimonial because of all we've been through together. Not on opposing sides, but together. And so I think that's a huge lesson is I could have, threw up my hands and been frustrated and all the things, but I stuck with them. I stuck with the conversations. Then I, made it abundantly clear that we were going to get through this no matter what I had to do. So as an agent in this market that is difficult, or if your market seems less difficult than mine right now, it's coming, right? So understand that you are going to be up against some stressful situations. And at the end of the day, setting your boundaries, having those expectations, taking care of yourself, absolutely 100%. And also, just sticking with the client and just communicating and just doing everything in your power to make it right for them will take your business a long way. If you have any questions, if you're interested in getting my client journey absolutely for free through my course, you can look at partnering with me. You can also reach out when we have a real estate agent game plan call. Let's have a conversation and let's take your business to the next level. Remember, we're all in this together. If you need someone to vent to, that's probably my number one value add to my organization is, hey, let's just vent, let's figure it out. We'll see you next time. Like, comment, subscribe, and don't miss my conversation with Jess Ross coming out on Friday. It's absolutely incredible the amount of care that this woman gives to her clients. She will close over 100 transactions this year by herself. Absolutely incredible interview. I can't wait to share it with you, but make sure you see it on Friday. We'll talk to you soon.